Last summer, I posted this clip of Leah Williamson.
Naomi Girma, I like her. I think she's a really, really good player. I ain't played with her yet.
The Arsenal fans ate it up, assuming that meant Naomi Girma might be on her way to Arsenal, but now it looks like she might be on her way to Chelsea. The Athletic reported that Lyon put in a $1 million bid, but Chelsea have also said that they're willing to do what it takes to sign her. Remember that Chelsea have got Khadijah Buchanan with an ACL injury, so she's going to be out for probably a year. Naomi Girma obviously wants Champions League football, and Lyon and Chelsea can both offer that. They usually make it to the latter stages. And I know that Michelle Kang will do whatever she can to get her to sign for them too, because she's taking over the world. But the other thing Chelsea can offer is the more competitive WSL. Don't hate me for saying it, but it is the most competitive league in the world, in my opinion. And obviously Chelsea going for the quadruple. Think of all that silverware for her. The other thing that's potentially added to this rumour is that Eve Perisset, Chelsea defender, is apparently on her way to San Diego Wave. Maybe they're just swapping places. San Diego Wave have already triggered her 1-year contract extension, so she's currently now under contract until the end of the 2026 season. So that is the other reason why there is a hefty price tag. The current world record transfer fee in the women's game is $862,000, which equals about £700,000, and that was Bay FC. They paid that for Rachel Kundananji from Madrid CFF last year. So could she break that? What other player do you think could break the £1 million or $1 million transfer fee? My other bet is maybe Kira Walsh if she goes to Arsenal, but she could come on a free in the summer, so it depends if they make that signing now. 10 days left of the January transfer window, people. Before we get more into the transfer window updates, guys, welcome back to my channel. Slightly different show coming for you now. I'm going to read all the women's football news articles, which I already do, but I'm going to do it so you don't have to, and put it in one short little video once a week. Right now, let's go back to the transfers. So Chelsea have basically so far just ended some loans and redistributed some of their young loanee players. Crystal Palace struggling at the bottom of the table. They desperately need to pick up points. They have bought in Clarissa Larissy from BK Häcken for an undisclosed fee. Crystal Palace this season, let's sum that up quickly so far. They've definitely shown glimpses that they've got what it takes to compete in the WSL, but we know it's such a tough league, and that gap from the Championship to the WSL, and even from the bottom half to the top half of the WSL, is so big. A lot of their games this season, they've actually done pretty well in the first half, made themselves hard to beat, and then towards the end of the first half they've conceded, and then perhaps in the second half there's been a flurry of goals. That happened this weekend against Arsenal. They obviously kept it to 1-0 at half-time, and Arsenal end up winning 5-0. Another team currently sitting in and around the relegation zone in the WSL is Everton. Brian Sorensen is really trying his best to find some sort of identity and playing style for Everton, but last season and this season they have been cursed with injury. It's bad. A really exciting player they signed in the summer, Imna Gabaro. I was so excited about seeing her play. She did her ACL in, I think it was the first game of the season, so they've definitely struggled with that again. These are the players they've bought in though, and I think they're business has been pretty good this January so far. They've brought in Emma Watson on loan from Manchester United. Remember, she's a young player, signed for Manchester United, quickly did her ACL, so I think she'll be good at Everton. Kelly Gargo from Nantes, Martina Fernandez, Barcelona loanee. Any Barca player has got something to bring to the WSL. I'm not complaining about that. Luna Ribadera from Chelsea. And this is a big one, some experience in that midfield. Hayley Ladd from Manchester United. Last season, she was such a big player for United. I honestly think it's a shame that they haven't played her more this year, but do you know what? Good for her. She said, I'm not happy, I'm going elsewhere. She had a debut for Everton this weekend. They picked up a draw, so good start, I guess. Leicester, another team that are really, really struggling this season. Again, I think injury's been a massive problem, and probably investment. That squad depth just isn't there, and I think if the club want them to continue, they've never finished higher than 10th in the WSL. Liverpool. I love Liverpool. I really want them to do well. I really want them to be playing Champions League football. I'm thinking if they get back to that 4th spot next season, and then they can play in the Europa League of the, the new UEFA tournament they're bringing in, I think they just need to sign some more international players. They've signed Sam Kerr, the Scottish Sam Kerr from Bayern Munich. What a player. Listen to this midfield, right? Sam Kerr, Kerry Holland, Fuka Nagano. That's a decent midfield. They've also signed Julia Bartel on loan from Chelsea, another Spanish player. Manchester City have also made a couple of signings. They've signed Japanese player Amy Ayama and centre-back Rebecca Kanak from FC Rosengard. Remember how badly they need another centre-back, because Alex Greenwood, their captain, who's had such a good season, as I had a knee injury before Christmas. I was about to say ACL then, but it's not, thank God. It's her MCL. So hopefully she'll be back by the Euros. They started playing at Lana Kennedy, but she's not been in the squad the last couple of games, so I don't know what's going on there. But they definitely needed to bring in another centre-back. City, for all their talent, their squad depth is not that great. particularly with Champions League football. Manchester United, Kayla Rendell, young lioness from Southampton. Spurs have brought in Olivia Holt and goalkeeper Liza Kopp from Leicester City. I do think that bringing in another keeper was a good shout. Becky Spencer is obviously a great keeper, so much experience, has played in the WSL for so many years. But Robert Villaham, since he came in as head coach last season, he's been very particular about wanting Spurs to play a certain style. He wants them to build up from the back and play out. And Becky Spencer's maybe not the most confident with the ball at her feet, and that's why he wants to bring in a young keeper who is, and who they can continue to develop to play their way. West Ham, no transfers so far, but a big problem West Ham have had over the last few years is their huge turnover of players, people signing really short contracts and then leaving at the end of the year. So I think it is really good news that they have signed contract extensions for young lioness Anouk Denton and Belgian Amber Tissiak. There's the transfer drama. Let's talk about the games this weekend. I'm going to fly through this because I know we already know the scores. There are a few things that I want to talk to you about. On Friday night, Liverpool-Brighton. Liverpool came out with a much-needed win, 2-1 victory over Brighton. I'm not going to lie, defending on both sides was quite poor in this game. And in the end, the winner was an own goal, and I think that says it all. Brighton have actually really struggled away from home this year. An interesting thing that came out of this game, Matt Beard, he said he was really unhappy with how much Olivia Smith has been fouled. Such a good player. I love watching her. She's so direct, so positive. Every time she gets the ball, she just turns and runs, and she got a good goal from doing that, and I was really pleased for her. But she gets fouled so much. I think she draws the fouls because of how she plays. It's a difficult one. Don't want her to get injured, and we know how bad these ACL injuries are, especially when she's so young and has such a big career ahead of her. But it's difficult because it's a competitive game, and we want these big challenges. Like, that's part of football. But apparently he has written to PGMOL, and which is the refereeing governing body, and sent them evidence. Although apparently after the game, I think it was the BBC spoke to PGMOL and they were like, no, we never received that. So I don't know what's going on there. But it is an interesting point. Right, let's move on to Saturday's game, Everton versus Villa. Not a huge amount to say about this, apart from Villa had so many chances, especially in the first half, to set it off, but they can only score once. And in the end, Sarri comes on for Everton and scores a late equaliser. Love a super sub story. I do love, from Villa point of view as well, Shaun Goater, interim manager. He's just come out saying, like, I love what I'm doing at Villa. The girls are happy. They're playing the Villa way, which is positive and happy and a nice environment. They're unbeaten under him so far, and he's basically said he wants the job. And I love that, particularly with so much around Arsenal and interim and not knowing when the interim period was going to end. Football's an emotive sport, and I love when people talk about how they feel, and Shaun Goater is a keno, and I love that for him. Moving on to yesterday's games, I'm going to whip through this. Spurs beat Leicester City 1-0. Janina Leipzig own goal in the first 5 minutes. Arsenal beat Palace 5-0. I don't need to say any more about that. Leah Williamson got her first league goal since pre-ACL. That is pretty big news. Chelsea beat West Ham 5-0, 5 different goal scorers, 1 was an own goal. This number of players that are confident enough to score, and some of these were bangers. Kat Macario opened up the scoring with a volley. Bearing in mind, business end of the season, they're going to go for the quadruple in Sonia Bonpassa's first year, surely. And it just shows that they can still rotate the squad and still get the goals. Finally, we get to the Manchester derby. Manchester United have not beaten City yet at the Etihad. They went in all guns blazing. They were so aggressive, and they ended up going 2-0 up really, really quickly. Toone got a hat-trick. I'm so pleased for her. I'm so pleased for Toone, because obviously I think she's been under a lot of pressure anyway at United. Then Alessia Russo left. They lost that partnership. I think Toone's then under even more pressure. It's tough. Then obviously first part of the season she loses her dad, which is really, really sad. And then she gets injured on top of that, calf injury that leaves her unable to play for 2 months. And she said that she felt that actually she needed the break to look after herself physically and mentally. She comes back, she scores a banger in the FA Cup last week, and then this weekend she gets a hat-trick, and I'm so pleased for her. Chelsea's still top, 31 points. They're 7 points above Arsenal and United, who are now joint on points. Arsenal with a better goal difference. Can anyone close that gap? That's 3 games that Chelsea got to drop points in. And then Manchester City dropped down to 4th on 22 points. And then at the bottom in the relegation battle was so tight. Palace right at the bottom on 5 points. Leicester on 6, West Ham on 8. Midweek this week, guys, it's the next round of the Subway Women's League Cup. So we've got Chelsea Durham. Sure, it's only going one way. United City again. Brighton Arsenal. Brighton are better at home. And Arsenal embarrassed them at the Emirates. 5-0, if I remember rightly. It wasn't good. So maybe Brighton can do one on them in the League Cup. And then a good old London derby, Spurs versus West Ham. I think that could go either way. Anyway, that was my roundup for this week. Hope it was slightly helpful. I'll be back next week. I don't know what day. Maybe I'll do this weekly on a Thursday. I've also got plenty of other exciting content coming with players in the WSL. I've got a few lined up. Should I drop the names? Maybe I'll flash the pictures up really quickly now. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And comment what you think and what you want to see more of. And I'll see you next time.